Hi, I'm Melissa Shea, President and CEO of the Long Island Real Estate Investors Association. 2 decades ago, on a dare, I purchased my first home with no money down. I received $7,000 cash at the closing and earned $200 a month in passive income, all while my tenant was paying the mortgage.
Since then, we've purchased over $30 million in real estate and have taught people just like you how to do the same. Go to outoftheratracepodcast.com, register, and let us teach you how to become financially independent through real estate investing today. Hey guys, you're listening to Out of the Rat Race podcast. Have you always wanted to be financially independent through real estate investing, but you're not quite sure where to begin? Then you're listening to the right show because that's what we teach. Go to outoftheratracepodcast.com, register, and we'll send you our ebook that'll explain to you where to get the money to begin investing in real estate. You'll also receive email notifications on all of our upcoming promotions and events, and much more. Be sure to follow us and turn on your notifications so that you're kept up to date on all of the new content, which is uploaded 1 to 3 times a week. And with that being said, let's get into today's episode. So if this is your first time joining in, my name is John Shea, and sitting across from me today is my beautiful young wife, Melissa J. Shea. Today I want to touch on a subject that we haven't really talked about yet, but you'd be foolish if you never thought about it, and that's Airbnbs. But first, Melissa's going to break the ice with a funny past story of her choosing.
Oh, I'm not funny.
I had to trip you up.
Yeah, you're the funny one.
Well, you were shot at by an AK-47, so that's a funny one. But
yeah,
but I guess it really wasn't funny.
It wasn't funny at the time, but now it's hysterical.
What about when the wheels fell off your car? All 4 of them. And you started yelling at them.
All right. Yeah, because I have crazy stories. That kind of stuff always happens.
Crazy begets crazy.
Yeah. So my traveling stories are legendary, and my amount of hurricanes and tornadoes I've been in is pretty legendary. But this one was I was moving to Alabama, and I was a single mom at the time, so I had my 3 kids, and somebody gave me the advice of, why don't you go across the street, because I'm taking it was a fairly new Sequoia, so it wasn't bad. It just
didn't you buy that in cash too? That was like the first car you ever paid for in cash, right?
Thanks to real estate, yeah. But anyway, so it was a fairly new car. It wasn't like it was a bad car at the time, but they said, why don't you get it checked out for a safety check before you make the long drive with you and just the kids? So I said, all right, that's fine. And I did have my au pair with me at the time, so she was driving. I went to pick her up. I just had picked up the kids, so I had my little guy was 3 months old, if that. The baby was like, I guess, 2 and 4, and so here we are driving back from picking up my car from the auto shop, and we're driving back. And the car started feeling really wobbly, and it was dark. The shop had already closed, so I had already, they left me the keys because I had already prepaid for it. I had the car loaded up. I was going down a highway, and I was passing an overpass, and all 4 tires just suddenly came off. They forgot to tighten the lug nuts. So some safety check that was. I crashed into an overpass, and I'm hanging out.
You were on the overpass over, I think, the LIE, right?
Yeah, hanging over the LIE. And one tire bounced and started rolling down the hill. And I remember saying, that's my tire, jumping out of the car. And it was snowing out, and I was running to chase it. It was in February. And I was chasing the tire down the road as it was bouncing down. And my au pair just stood there completely blown away, going, I've never seen this before. And I had just met her. Like, she was a new au pair, so she was like maybe 3 days into the job. So she was really freaked out. And I remember calling the cop, and the cop said, you know what, I got to go see this for myself. So he came. But it was snowing, and we had no heat, and I had the babies, and it was a little conundrum going on, and all that crazy stuff. So, that was my tire incident.
There we go. There's Melissa's funny story. I have a quicker one, actually, and I think it's a little bit funnier, believe it or not, that I just thought of right now. We were living in Long Beach at the time, and we only had we only did have 6 kids. And if anybody's ever been to Long Beach, parking in the summertime is a nightmare. So, like, you have to park 3 blocks away in some cases, which we've had to. And
walk with our groceries
on
and
this
our kids.
occasion, we did. And I think we were going out east somewhere, and we were in Long Beach, so we're all the way out west. And we all walked to the Sequoia that the wheels fell off of. The wheels on Melissa's car do not always go round and round. Sometimes they go up and down and fall on the floor. But we're getting in. We get all the kids in the car, and Melissa steps on the running board of the car to get into the vehicle and proceeds to sneeze, smacking her head and basically knocking herself out into the seat. To which
passed out
the
in the
kids
car.
started yelling, Melissa Melissa hit her head.
Mom,
Mommy hit her head. And so she knocked herself out with a sneeze.
Yeah.
So that's my funny story. It's a little quicker, but if you guys were there, it was definitely
That was funny.
a day to remember.
I totally forgot about
All
that.
the bruises that she comes up with are all hers.
Yeah.
She's fallen out of bed before and gave herself a black eye. I was questioned.
That was funny.
Yeah, that was real funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so today's topic, Airbnb.
Yeah, that's a fun topic.
Now, seeing as how this is our first time really covering this topic, I'm going to keep it pretty basic in the discussion today. I'm going to start by giving you my basic explanation and possibly the real definition of an Airbnb. So here we go. An Airbnb is a residential property that hosts rent on short-term bases for travelers. It could be anything from a house, a single room, a boat, or even a tree house. Think of it as a pop-up accommodation, a marketplace where you could rent out their properties. So how did it start, you may ask? Well, you're in luck because I looked that one up too. Airbnb stands for Air, Bed, and Breakfast. A fairly simple meaning, but what's the air part all about? Do you know what it is? No, don't even try. All right. You would think it relates to flying up in the air, right? But no, not even close. Back in 2007, cash-strapped, and I'm going to butcher these people's names, Joe Gebbia and Brian Chesney were living in San Francisco. Every year, a design conference came into town, which filled every hotel room. Being savvy entrepreneurs, they thought to themselves, why not rent out the floor space in our lounge room? So they went out and purchased 3 airbeds. They blew them up and advertised them on their website, which they called Air, Bed, and Breakfast. A week later, they had their first guests at $80 a night. And what happened next? Airbnb was born.
That's pretty cool.
Right?
I actually read their book. It's pretty interesting how they started.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you pronounce their names? Probably not.
Probably not.
So question number 1, Melissa.
I butcher everybody's name.
Yeah, even your own. You messed your own middle name up on the other one, Janot.
Last podcast.
So
yeah.
anyway, Janot French. What makes an Airbnb investment different from, let's say, a buy and hold strategy investment?
So the strategy ultimately is the same, right? So it's passive income. The Airbnb concept is kind of accelerating it, but it is much more management intensive. So you do have to be a good host of an Airbnb or a short-term rental. The fact is, it requires a lot more management, right? So, typically you're not paying for all the utilities. You're not paying for the changeover of tenants, so the cleaning, the maintaining of the property and stuff like that. So it's a little bit more hands-on. You can hire companies to manage them for you, and that's also a good revenue and a good business to do as well. So I do enjoy it. I think it's a great way to diversify. I would be nervous putting all my eggs in that basket, just because we own a travel agency and we saw how volatile that is when market changes happen. So trends of travel tend to change. Right now it's a hot market because very few people can or willing to leave out of the United States, and so Airbnb is a great option right now for people. So I think it's a great investment. We love it so far.
Yeah, and I got to say, just a little side note here is that if you do purchase and own an Airbnb, basically you could book your own week and you have your own little vacation hotspot for you and your family. So that's a plus.
We're starting to identify the places we like to go the most, and forget the timeshares, guys. I mean, timeshares are no investments whatsoever.
Never again.
Yeah, that's a horrible investment if they even try to tell you it's part of real estate.
If you guys want to buy a timeshare, we got 3 of them. So we'll offload them to you real cheap. So good answer on that one, Melissa.
But it's interesting you bring that up because that was the only alternative for so long. The reason why we didn't buy an Airbnb because that wasn't really a concept when we had bought those back in the day. Our family size is so large, right, that we can't rent a traditional hotel. So we were traveling at first. It was just me, John, and the 6 kids. We couldn't rent a hotel room with the 8 of us. We had to rent 2. And even at that, they would give us a hard time because there was a max of 4. So, but because we were the same family, so sometimes we would have to get 2 3-bedroom suites. The cost was ridiculous.
And what adult wants to share a hotel room with 6 kids?
Yeah. So, and we didn't have cooking facilities. So a timeshare made sense back then, but I love the concept of Airbnb for large families like ours, blended families like ours. Now you could travel and have the amenities of, you don't have to eat out every night. It gets expensive. We have 8 kids and our au pair. There's 11 of us to eat out every breakfast, lunch, and dinner when you're out there. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, you go to the grocery store and you could just fill the fridge with eggs and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and stuff like that.
Yeah, and our kids eat like crazy and all day long.
Teenagers, they're like the bottomless pit.
Yeah. So it does have a convenience of having a kitchen where you can just cook and throw things together. So yeah,
Great.
It definitely helps.
Okay, so we have our first emailed question, but first I want to give our sponsor, Sal Rizzolo, a small shout out. So, is this market driving you crazy? Even heading into the winter market, we're still dealing with never before seen hurdles for first-time home buyers and investors alike. If you look close, a majority of these complications actually lie on the financing side of things, and that's why we've partnered with Sal Rizzolo, a branch manager at Cardinal Financial. Sal Rizzolo has closed over 500 loans in his time at Cardinal Financial and can confidently say he's encountered almost any financial situation in regards to home financing. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, a seasoned investor, or just somebody who wants information and clarification on how to proceed to the next step, Sal Rizzolo welcomes and encourages all of your calls. An investor and seasoned realtor prior to financing, all of your questions will be answered, whether it be from Sal personally or someone in his network. Feel free to reach out to Sal at 631-946-0654. Once again, that's 631-946-0654, and let him help you identify and get on the path to financial freedom. All right, we're back. And again, special thanks to Sal, who will actually be hosting the open bar today at our Long Island RIA event.
Yeah. So if you're not doing anything tonight, you want to zoom in, you can go to our website and register.
Yeah, absolutely. So email
That's
question.
out of the podcast. Wait.
No, you can't even get the thing right. And you keep cutting me off today. We're going to have a talk about this later.
All right.
Maybe you'll fall out of bed again. So email question number 1. Melissa, my name is Trudy, and I'm from Garden City. There was a
Hi, Trudy.
Hi. I'm not Trudy, though. There's a vacant house 4 houses away from me. The grass is unkept, newspapers piled on the driveway, in a full mailbox that has been knocked off of its post and is also laying in the driveway. Is this potentially an investment property? And if so, how would I get in touch with the owners?
So, yes.
Excellent question, Trudy.
Yeah, excellent question, Trudy. Thanks for asking it. This is a common question a lot of people ask, and they don't know how to go ahead and do it. And actually, it's funny because there's even some confusion about who the seller is on those type of houses. So let's take it for what it is. When you see an abandoned house like that, largely there's an issue going on with it, okay? So sometimes the seller maybe is upside down in default, and they think because they got a foreclosure notice that the property has been foreclosed on. There's actually a process, right? So some, out of fear and not knowing the process, just abandon the house and leave thinking the bank owns it at this point. And that's not, excuse me, that's not necessarily the case. Hopefully we can edit that part out.
I'm going to leave it.
Great. So anyway, so that may not necessarily be the case. The sellers may still own it, and the bank can't reach them to finish the foreclosure process. There may be a hiccup in the process. The other thing that may happen is, let's say one of the sellers is deceased. That becomes an issue because it's very difficult to serve a deceased person. You know, you can't legitimately do that. So it goes to the estate. If it's upside down, there's no value in it. None of the family members want to go forward and invest any money if they're not going to get anything in return. So it takes a long time to do that process, okay? So that's the issues that happen behind the lines. The other issue is that the property could be foreclosed on, owned by the bank, but there's some title issues that prevent it from being relisted. Okay, so that is oftentimes, and then the other scenario could be is that it's what we call shadow inventory. The bank is holding on to it for a certain purpose. Right now, you're not seeing that as much. You saw that a lot in 2010, 9, 10, 11, when there was a lot of inventory. Right now, there's not a lot of inventory, so they would get the highest price. But oftentimes what you're seeing is what they call a clout on title. There's an issue on title that they have to clear up. So how can you find out who owns the house? You can go to findtheseller.com. I find that's a really great resource. It's $9.95 for each individual one. So if you're doing multiple ones, that's not the best one. You want to do a batch service. But in Trudy's case here, she's just showing that, she's looking for the one house in her own neighborhood. So this would make sense. It gives a very detailed report. It's from LexisNexis, so you're going to get pretty much the most accurate information, nearest family members and things like that. You have to track down who is on title. Make contact with that. If the person is deceased, you want to find out who's the next in line for next to kin and help them through that process. Now, if there's no money to be had in it, that's where a short sale could come into play, and you could offer to compensate the family members some of the profit that you make if you purchase the property.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Trudy.
That was a very detailed answer.
Yes,
right?
Very good. Random question number 1. Melissa, it's fondue night. Are you dipping things in cheese or chocolate?
Oh, definitely chocolate. Dark chocolate only.
Okay, it has to be dark chocolate. So nobody else is going to enjoy it. All
yeah.
Right.
That's
Just
okay.
checking. All right.
It's not for anybody else but me.
I said fondue night. I didn't say Melissa's fondue night. All right, next question. Where are the places that you would want to look for when considering purchasing an Airbnb investment?
So it's interesting. The founders of Airbnb started because of a convention. So that is definitely one of the biggest reasons, because when hotel space is limited, that's where you're going to look. Obviously, you're going to look at resort areas or areas that are close to beach, close to, so the big ones that were out there are like the Hilton Head, the Myrtle Beaches, the Hamptons,
Right.
These are well-known.
Destination places, close to the water and or ski resorts, I guess, right?
Yeah, ski resorts. But here's the thing. Right now, the market's so hot that it doesn't pay to do that. So I would look for communities that are similar to that, right? So we've been looking at Topsail, North Carolina as a destination. We already have Kent Island in Maryland. It's very close to Annapolis. Did I say that right?
You said Annapolis, right? Yeah.
Okay, this time I did. We do, people who we host in our house is oftentimes people staying at weddings or attending weddings in Annapolis. Annapolis is a big city, so you want to be, and we're about 20 minutes away. We've got a gorgeous view because we're on the water of the Chesapeake Bay. We're very close to the Bay Bridge, so we're about an 8-minute ride to the bridge.
Well, also, Kent Island is kind of like the Hamptons for Maryland and Virginia.
Correct. So it's more of an upscale.
And it's close to Ocean City, too, so people go there to go to Ocean City, Maryland.
Yeah, they'll do a day trip there. There's a lot of amenities that you can have there. A lot of antiquing is there. A lot of, how do you say, those restaurants that are like, not chain stores, but like the mom and pop restaurants, right? They're really old restaurants. Some of them, what's Aunt Annie's has been around since?
They've been around for like 40 years.
Something like that. So it's really good upscale restaurants. And
they're big on
things like
seafood too.
In our area, we have wineries. So you want to find activities that they can do. Topsail, I like that. That's near Sneed's Ferry where Krista and Joe, my best friend, moved down to. I love her area. It's not too overpopulated. It's got beach. It's got amenities. It also has the military, which is also good because you'll have family visiting the military families. So it's convenient to get to. So those are the things that you want to look to. Las Vegas has a lot of Airbnbs because people go there for resorts. Same thing, for conventions. Same thing with Orlando. Orlando is a huge convention center area. So there's lots of things we could do, to be part of the Airbnb communities. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so we got another emailed in question. It's from Kevin in Melrose, New York. Melissa, why do people tell me not to purchase real estate investments on double yellows? What does that mean?
Okay, so double yellows are the double yellow lines. In certain communities, it's a deterrent to having your home on a WL line means that there's a lot of traffic. And so if you have young children, they could run out to the street. Obviously, that's different in areas like the city and busy areas. You know, you just come to expect that. Also, with the amount of traffic, people aren't going high speeds on those roads anyway. But when you're looking at suburbia and you have WL lines, it usually has a margin of like 10% off the ARV. That would be like high after repair value. He dings me every time I do an acronym. So.
Yep, I flicker too, but you don't see it.
I get the kick under the table. Yep. Anyway, so after repair values, so if you're looking to sell a house, say for $400,000, you're probably going to have to sell it for around $360 if it's on a double yellow or it has a defect like, high tension power lines. We did that just once. Mm-hmm. Things like that near a landfill, things like that will have a negative effect. So yes, the double yellows, for the most part, will have that.
Okay. Great question, Kevin. Random question number 2, cash or credit and why?
Cash or credit? What do you mean?
What do you prefer to use, cash or credit?
Depends.
And why?
So here's the reason. I love using, if it's personal stuff, okay, personal stuff, I love using the Apple Card, which is crazy because I'm not a big Apple person, but I love the convenience of that.
I should flick you just for that.
What's that?
I said I should flick you just for that.
Yeah, but I have to say it's one of the best cards out there. I really like that because it can track all your expenses. You can pay it very easily online. You can dispute things very easily. It's very visible.
And you get cash back.
Back. Yeah, immediately. So that really kind of helps out. And it also, if we don't carry any personal debt, right? So that's a big rule with John and I. We have tons of company debt and mortgages, but personal debt we don't have. We carry the Apple Card is all we use, and we make sure it's paid down by the end of the month so we don't have to pay any interest.
Just so you guys know, this is not sponsored by Goldman Sachs or Apple.
No, and it's ironic because I don't really like either company, but they did put out a good product, so I got to say it.
All right, let me see. Where are we here? Okay, can you Airbnb a house hack?
Can you Airbnb a house hack? Of course you can. So what a house hack is when you live in portion of the house and you rent out the other portion to supplement your mortgage, usually at least 50%. Some I've seen successfully house hack a lot. Now, I do like that component for 2 reasons. One, you're physically there on the property. So it's a big deterrent for people destroying your property if you're on the property, right? So not that I looked on it. We had 46 visitors this year in our Airbnb. Our house was never destroyed. I mean, maybe things were moved around, like the measuring cup here and there. Like we had a little spoon stolen or something like that. Nothing crazy. It probably was just misplaced. But we've had no damage to the property or anything like that. I think that also depends on where you're at too. If you're in Las Vegas and maybe party cities, that could happen. You do have insurances against it, but if you're there, it's a huge deterrent for it. The other thing is you often get higher rents. You're not fully occupied. So if you think that you're going to rent, out of 30 days out of the month, you're going to rent 27 of them, that's very unrealistic to think. Usually 50% and better, you're doing really good. And in our case, right, we have an average is 22 days of the month that we're rented and $375 a night. So if you do the math on that, just remember you have to carry a lot more expenses, right? So your insurances are different. We have to have 2 different types of insurances. We have to have cleaning and stuff like that. So I rambled on, and I don't remember what the question was.
Can you Airbnb a house hack?
So absolutely, and I encourage that.
Okay. Email question number 3. Melissa, this is Dakota from Montauk.
Hey, Dakota.
Okay. I have a very well-paying job, and I'm happy with it. I enjoy.
Good for you.
I enjoy the rat race, so to speak. It has been good to me. I do not, however, like my 401k returns. What real estate investment strategy would you recommend for someone that doesn't want to or have the time to be involved?
So I'm really glad you said that, Dakota, because, we talk about out of the rat race, right? And there are people who really do enjoy the career path that they're on, and they don't mind the hours. What they do have to think about is their future and their retirement benefits, right? And so with somebody working a high-paying job or in the career that they love, real estate supplements that. That's all it does. It helps for the long term. So there's two strategies. One, I really encourage notes with the IRAs. What are notes? Notes are promissory notes that we originate here, and we sell a portion of those notes so that you get higher than average interest rates. So our minimum investment is gives a yield of 7% paid out quarterly. So if you're interested in doing that, the nice part is it's secured by a real estate asset or a business that owns real estate assets, and at the same time, you're earning higher, good dividends in your retirement accounts. The other thing is the principal is secured. Unlike a stock, a bond, a crypto, it has some security to it in that sense.
Great. All right. Thank you very much, Dakota.
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah. Anybody who's interested in doing that, we highly encourage you to reach out to. You can go to lireia.com and fill out your information that you're interested in investing with notes. And we've been doing it for about 10 years, and it's been pretty successful so far.
Great. All right, random question number 3. Melissa, which celebrity do you think will run for president 20 years from now?
20 years from now?
Yeah, think about it.
I hope Seth MacFarlane.
That would be great.
We could use some comic relief in the political arena. Actor? Justin Bieber. There we go.
That's not an actor. He's Canadian. He can't run.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know. I'll go with Seth MacFarlane.
Seth MacFarlane?
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be nice.
That'd be really good. Oh, make this a quick question because we're running really long on this one.
Oh, sorry.
What type of funding is available for Airbnb investments?
So, yes, we do have special funding. It's called short-term rentals funding. Not every mortgage lender does it, and even the ones that do what's called non-QM will not do these. So it's non-QM, before you ding me, stands for non-qualifying mortgages. We do loans in the LLC. They do have a personal guarantee, but they do not appear on your personal credit report. John and I have over 100 mortgages, and although it's difficult with bookkeeping, the fact is you can still get these types of mortgages. They're not limited on how many you can have, as long as it cash flows and it makes sense, and you can put down 20% plus the closing costs.
Great.
That's the only, and a high credit score. That's all you need.
And then last question here. Can you think of any cons associated with Airbnbs?
Yeah, you definitely should not do this if you're not good at managing. I really have to say that. It's not a set it and forget it. If you get bad reviews, it will have a negative impact for you. Airbnb is not for everybody. I love the returns, but you really have to be good at managing or being responsive and marketing. Okay, because you're constantly marketing to new people, and you're trying to fill your home up, and you're looking for reviews. We're very fortunate that we've created a property management in-house. Megan, Sean's wife, has done a wonderful job, and she's doing our second Airbnb and our third, and soon our fourth, because we have 4 of them in play right now.
Great. Okay, ready for the lightning round?
Go for it.
All right, here we go.
I'll go faster.
Would you rather wake up in a dinghy in the middle of the ocean or bound and gagged in the trunk of a car? I'm trying to plan ahead.
Like, where do you get these questions? I like a dinghy because I got the fresh air at least.
You don't have water. Water everywhere, but not a drop to drink.
I know. But maybe it rains.
But there's none in the trunk either.
Yeah, but I have a chance of it raining, and I can drink some water, whereas I don't have a chance in a car.
Okay, so in the middle of the ocean you go.
Yeah.
All right.
And I don't like being claustrophobic.
Hang on, I'm making a mental note. In the ocean. Okay. Would you rather meet Johnny Cash or Elvis Presley?
Definitely Johnny Cash.
Okay.
He's a cool guy.
What canceled TV series would you bring back if you could?
Psych.
Okay.
Not even a question there.
Very good. Dule Hill and James Roday. Very good show.
Love that show.
Melissa, it's pasta night. What are you eating?
Oh, what's that pasta I always order from Mama Lisa's with the chopped chicken Florentine, something
But
like
diced
that.
chicken and not...
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a birthmark, and if so, where?
It's not quite a birthmark. It's a caterpillar bite I got when I was 5 in my inner thigh.
You have 2.
I have 2?
2 caterpillar bites.
No, it's one.
I thought it was 2.
No, it's just really, really big. Looks like 2, but it's really 1.
She calls it a bite, but some caterpillars have like spikes and stuff on them, and I guess one landed on her thigh, and it was poisonous.
Oh my gosh, it's like, I don't know, like 6 inches, 7, right?
Yeah.
It's really long.
And
it's bright purple.
yeah, so it actually looks like a bruise. So the hospital, when she was having babies, did pull her to the side and ask if everything was okay at home.
Yeah,
So,
it looks horrible.
between that and falling out of the bed. All right, toilet paper, over or under?
Oh my gosh, it has to be over. That's the right way to do it.
Okay. All right. That's it for today, guys. Real estate investing is the pathway to success, but education is key. Go to outoftheratracepodcast.com, register, and receive the ebook that'll explain to you where to get the money to begin investing in real estate today. Stop chasing the cheese and learn how to make it for yourself, because only then can you truly escape the rat race. Guys, from Melissa, our staff, and myself, happy investing.